Well, Jonathan Henick is the US ambassador to Uzbekistan. We wanted to have him live from today's programme, but he said to me he couldn't come today because the embassy has its July the 4th Independence Day celebrations today because it's too hot in the middle of July. Well, but he did tell me, when he did join me to discuss this, that this country has a very interesting place, both in history and in the future.
Uzbekistan occupies a very strategic geography. It's a difficult neighborhood, as our Uzbek friends will often point out. You have Russia to the north, China, Afghanistan, Iran, doubly landlocked country. But for all those reasons, and for historical reasons as well, it's also this, historically the center of a major trading route. Is very rich in terms of natural resources, as we said, critical minerals, energy resources, if we're talking about the whole region, of course. And therefore, for the United States, is strategically very important.
So how do you avoid this idea of a mercantilistic approach? The US is interested in the rare earths. It wants to get one over on China. Therefore, it will play nice with Uzbekistan.
Yeah, I don't think our policy is ever that way. I mean, I think what we want to make sure is that the rare, commodities that you have here are not locked up by any one country and are available for global use and for development purposes for any countries that choose to purchase them. In the end, Uzbekistan has its own agency in this. And what we want to do is offer Uzbekistan choices. So to take the strategic frame out a little bit more, Uzbekistan has been very clear that they want to diversify their relationships. For much of their history, they've been overly dependent on one nation or another. And they've been very deliberate over the last several years about pursuing better relations, not only with the United States, but with the European Union, with Korea, with Turkey, and the United States wants to be one of Uzbekistan's partners.
But is it your fear that at times of tensions, Russia, Ukraine, US, China, that Uzbekistan could slip into the orbit, to use that strategic phrase, it could slip into the orbit of countries that you would prefer it not to?
Our policy is to support Uzbekistan's independence and sovereignty. And Uzbekistan can't be independent and sovereign if it's totally dependent on any one country. So obviously we would prefer that Uzbekistan have choices, and we want to be one of those choices.
When you look at the issues, reform is here. The president said, the reform is irreversible. You heard him say it.
Many times.
Do you believe him?
I believe that he believes it. And I believe that he is absolutely committed to his vision for the country. And he's done incredible things here. I mean, if we look at the elimination of child and forced labor, we look at this, making the currency convertible. We look at systematic reduction of tariffs. He's really making this a much more attractive place for foreign investments. But I think you and I both know historically that, these things can be reversed. And so I think more needs to be done, before we can be absolutely confident that Uzbekistan is firmly on this path.
LGBT remains criminal in this country. Does the United States, at suitable opportunities, point out that this should change?
We do. It is our policy around the world to support, human rights, including here in Uzbekistan. But on some of these issues, I think the best approach is, that countries are not going to, change at the point of a gun. They're not going to change simply because of outside pressure. They're going to change when, the societal attitudes towards these issues change and at a time and place of their choosing. But we'd like to see that happen sooner rather than later.
Finally, what do you like most about being here? Because you are an extremely experienced diplomat. You've had some pretty tough postings, haven't you?
I have.
I mean, so now this isn't a soft posting, but it's an easier. What do you like here?
This is for a professional diplomat. It's a dream assignment. It's culturally fascinating every single day. I'm blessed to be here at a time when our relationship is good and getting better, which is not something that's always within our control. I have this nice healthy distance from Washington, which gives me a certain degree, a certain measure of independence, which is professionally satisfying. But maybe most importantly, it's a country that matters to U.S. national security interests. And so I come to work every single day, understanding what the mission is and understanding that my job is important.